The Tech Disruptors podcast is proudly brought to you by channel sponsors, the Average Dad Tech Store and Stellar Data Recovery. Now, on to the show.
My left video just went viral.
I'ma strike back and take your whole empire. Spontaneous combustion. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm on fire.
Hello, how's everyone doing out there?
Good afternoon.
Good, sir. How are you?
This is episode 21 of 25 of the Tech Disruptors, and you can see we have a little, let me change that up a little bit. There we go. I like that.
Ah! Now you had to
We're
see
not
my.
quite as close to each other.
Now you see the cheese balls. I forgot to put those off camera. Sorry.
Oh, here we go with the cheese balls. again.
No, we're good. That's okay. I'm just saying they're visible now. Yes.
There you
Sorry.
go.
It
Well,
happens.
my name is Jason, and I am taking over, I guess, master host for Darren because he decided to go on vacation and go see family or whatever. But next to me is our normal co-host,
Hey everyone, I'm Devin.
and we also got a special person from the Nomad Tech Project joining us this evening or this afternoon, however you are, where you're at. This is
It's Sam. How's it going, everybody? I'm your special human. That's what I am. I'm special.
I like that. I like that.
Hey Sam.
All right. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Well, we took a week off last week. I'm not really sure why. Part of it was because I thought Devin was live streaming the end of June, not July. So I'm not really sure why I thought that. But in that week span, there's been a lot of crap that's went down, I guess, and some good things too. And I was talking to Devin off before we started, and one of the big things that was talked about, and we talked about last week a little bit too, was the release of the Nothing Phone 3. I don't have anything pulled up on it, but the Nothing Phone 3 and the Nothing Headphones 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, from what I understand, you can pre-order it as of July 4th, last Friday. I think they go on sale around the 14th or 15th of this month. And the specials they're having here in the U.S. is if you buy the Nothing black or white, whatever color you want, you pay $7.99. They have a 12 gig and a 16 gig version, but they're basically giving you the 16 gig version for the 12. So $7.99 for 16 gigabytes, 512 of RAM. If you buy the headphones 2 as well, the new headphones 1, you get them for $50 off. Or you can get, I think it's the earbuds 2 for free. So my question to you guys, and I know, Sam, I'm putting away the look of it, just the device itself, I don't know if you know the specs, but is it worth $7.99? Devin, we'll go with you first.
I mean, I didn't pre-order it, so clearly it's not worth the $7.99 to me. And one of the things I was saying before is I feel like I've got, if I wasn't so in love with and happy with my OnePlus 13 at the moment, I probably would have pre-ordered this just to try it out, just to give it a shot. I really like the company itself. I really like what they're doing. I really like the attempts at innovation, even if they're not super helpful, useful. At least they're trying some different things, which is always something that I love. So I think it depends on exactly what you're looking for. But I like it. I just don't want to downgrade my phone for more money at the moment.
And that, before we go to Sam, that's what I was going to say. So the problem people are having with this phone is it's great for what it is. And the Snapdragon 4 G whatever, that's like a step down from the Elite, is going to be a fine processor for most people. But for $7.99, you can get a OnePlus 13 with all the specs. And with, at least we know the Hasselblad, the cameras are decent. We don't know anything about the cameras in Nothing Phone except for their specs, and specs don't mean anything when you're looking at stuff. And the only thing I say that Nothing really has going for it is its unique look, and maybe its growing ecosystem. But Sam, what do you think of the Nothing Phone 3? Did you watch the live event, or have you seen articles on it? What are your thoughts?
I did not watch a live event because I just don't generally do that as a general course. I don't watch any of those. I looked it up. The look is fine. And I like I said again, the headphones again, they probably sound great. I just aesthetically they're very. Let's just put it this way. I'm trying to be softer about that. Yeah, it's definitely a Nothing look. Let's just put it that way. It's very easily identifiable. Now, if you're wearing those through a Walmart here in Middle Missouri, not a human being on earth is going to know what those are. But they do stand out, and so that's fine. And we have this discussion, and I've made it. I've had this argument with other phones about. Well, I don't really think it's worth that. I don't think a McLaren's worth $750,000 either, because I won't buy the car because I can't use it, right? But again, what it's worth versus what they're asking for $799. Yeah, you got a comparable phone? So you're going to compare a Nothing Phone 3 to a OnePlus 13, which most Americans have no idea what it is. So you're really comparing a Nothing phone to another phone that people have no visibility to whatsoever outside of the tech space. They're not sold in carrier stores. I guarantee it. Go find 100 people and say, hey, would you get a OnePlus 13 or would you get a Nothing 3? They'd be like, what in the hell are you talking about? Like, nobody's going to know.
The comparison would be the Samsung S23 Plus.
Right.
Samsung's a well-known brand. 23 is a number they may be more familiar with, but they're about the same price, I think, and same size.
Yeah, I said I think the OnePlus. I think the Nothing Phone 3. If you're looking for a phone and you're looking for, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, sure. But yeah, like to Devin's point, the OnePlus 13 is probably more compelling and more of a bigger bang for buck at that price point than anything you could buy from Nothing. So I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where what do you really want to buy? I think, like I said, I think the phone's fine. Again, the headphones probably sound great. I mean, I would get the buds, and I would get the Nothing Phone 3 with the buds. Oh hell yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's just because I don't need another pair of headphones because I got a pair.
Right.
I think if they give you the buds for free, that's a pretty good price. That's a good price proposition for me, and I think that's where I probably would go. And maybe most people will, but if you want to get the headphones because you want to be that guy who nobody will know what you have on, everybody's going to stop and go, what are those things, right?
Yeah.
Then you're in. Like I said, we like that as tech enthusiasts. We like having people come up and saying, "Man, I've never seen those." And then talking about the Nothing headphones and Nothing as a company. Then it's an engaging conversation, and who knows where it goes? People go, "Yeah, it's okay. I'm just going to buy an iPhone," or they may be interested. Right. It's a good conversation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think, like Devin said earlier, it's like that, Xiaomi, when they first started, they had a huge fan base. OnePlus was notorious with this. They had the lottery system. People were like fuming. I mean, everyone, I don't say everyone, people really like to be part of something. And I think Nothing is doing a really good job of that, but I don't know if they're quite big enough to do it yet. For me, the Nothing Phone 3, I told Devin, I actually pre-ordered it and then I canceled it because I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait till it's actually available, see what some of the reviews say. I don't want to always base my decisions on other people, but this is a phone that's supposed to be a flagship. I want to know what the camera samples look like, how long the battery life lasts. There are some good things about it. I like the Glyph Matrix. I think it's interesting, but I don't know how useful it is yet. And I know they're going to make an open API, but who's going to jump on it? No one even, like Sam said, not a lot of people know about Nothing. So who's actually going to, is Microsoft going to make something with that? Is Google going to make something with that? Probably not, at least not initially, unless it sells. But you mentioned something about something that no one even really knows about, which is Nothing and OnePlus. So that kind of opens me up into something else that you guys may have heard about this week. That U.S. lawmakers allege that OnePlus phones transmit data to Chinese servers without user consent. Now, before we go anywhere, this doesn't mean they're getting locked down. Doesn't mean, I think the U.S. is urging an investigation. And I know I believe that OnePlus is associated with Vivo and Oppo. They used to be part of that BBK, I think. I've heard rumors that they're not really, but they are. It's a Chinese base. So let me propose a scenario. OnePlus gets put on the entity list. Google is stripped away. Snapdragon is gone. and we lose OnePlus. Now, from a tech point of view, I understand the bad part of that. And I know Sam's going to say, well, most people don't have heard of it. But do you think losing another OEM Android manufacturer is beneficial? Is it bad, or is it who cares? Either one of you guys. Sam, you can start if you want.
No, I'll let Devin. I'll defer.
Okay.
I think that there's a little bit of the, at some point, who cares? As much as this is, I've had this OnePlus since January, and I love it. I don't plan on getting rid of it anytime soon. I've had multiple OnePluses before this.
So China has all your data, is what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think at the end of the day, yeah, that's probably the way to look at it too. Is even if I didn't have these phones, I feel like if China wanted my data, they probably have it already. So
they don't need OnePlus, is what you're saying.
There's probably part of that, yeah. But also on the other hand is, you have to look at it at this point. Is OnePlus ever going to be alongside Samsung and Apple in the United States?
Probably not.
Exactly. I don't. So are we losing a ton here? Like, I'll still be able to import it through the processes that you can
but
import
if they lose Google
most
services,
phones.
But if they lose Google services and Snapdragon chipset, that makes a huge difference globally for them too. Right? It's not just losing the United States. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That was my proposal. Like,
Sure.
Because like Huawei, they were I think Sam, you even talked about having a Huawei phone at one point and how great the camera was. And I remember
I've had multiple Huawei phones, and the cameras were
amazing. And they still are
way ahead of any Android phone I had at that same time, I thought.
And it probably, and whether they were spying on us or not, it doesn't matter at this point because the government said it was, and it kind of hampered everything about them. So my question is so Devin, you're saying it wouldn't make a huge difference, but Sam, what would you say?
I mean, in the tech enthusiast community, it would make a lot of impact. And there would be one less Android OEM. Mm-hmm. But I have to agree with Devin. I think it's if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it make a sound? Sure, but nobody cares. Right. And I think at the end of the day, I've already made this contention before that the United States as a market share is already ceding to Apple. I mean, you talk to anybody who's 15 to 24, and like 80% of those young kids are using iPhones, and they're not coming off of it. It's not happening. You might get a couple defectors here and there, but I think that's it. And then Samsung and Google make up that gap as far as phones. And I think with OnePlus, I'm actually surprised it took this long for OnePlus and BBK to get on the radar of U.S. government, because I think Xiaomi kind of already kind of knew that this was coming, or at least a possibility. So they've kind of like retracted from the U.S. market pretty much on their own, just kind of thinking we don't want to get involved, and all of a sudden we get like right to where Huawei, because I mean at that time, right before Huawei went on the entity list, they were almost at AT&T. Like AT&T was going to carry the P30 and the Mate 30. They were going to be available to purchase at Best Buy. And then the entity list came and they were gone. And that's the way it's going to be. And I really just don't see a situation where it's going to make much difference at this point. I think maybe 10 years ago, if they were trying to establish that market, like OnePlus was trying to get on T-Mobile and try to develop that and get in the United States and kind of seed that thing and grow it, maybe. At this point, I think it's kind of much ado about nothing. I think it's just going to kind of, if they get on the entity list, it's going to be like, we'll hate it because it sucks. But right. I think the general population is not going to care, even if they have a OnePlus phone. They'll still work.
So from my point of view, it's more like we have in the U.S., we have Samsung and Apple, and that's about it. And no one else knows much, if any. Maybe Motorola and Google a little bit. Sprinkle them in there a little bit too. But for me, it's like if we're going to keep chopping down competitors to Apple and to Samsung, eventually we're going to have no innovation, no growth, no competition. And I'm not saying OnePlus is a huge competition, but Devin, you have one. I have a OnePlus Pad 3. I've had OnePlus phones in the past and watches. Mm-hmm. They make a great device, and it may not make much of a difference outside of that, but I feel like every time, LG drops out, we have Huawei going away, at least here in the U.S., in North America. I just feel like it's another nail in the coffin for Apple and Samsung to lead the way, and more than likely, Apple to take. I don't want to live in a world where the only cell phone options I have are Apple or Apple. And I don't hate Apple, but I want choice, and I want to. And I feel like it seems like every time a company starts to get ahead, they get chopped down. And I'm not saying U.S. is out. I'm not making any conspiracy theories that the U.S. is gonna.
No, make a conspiracy theory. That's way better content.
So maybe the U.S. is shutting everyone down. Think
yeah,
about it,
absolutely.
because Trump did say he wants Apple to build in the U.S. Good luck with that. He can't build his own phones in the U.S.
I was just gonna say, it's funny that this story about Chinese smartphones just comes out shortly after Trump decides to announce his own phone. It's
Have you noticed that? So when we pulled up his website, the last stream that said "Made in America," now it says that's been taken off the website.
Yeah. Designed in America.
Designed. All phones are designed. Apple is designed, and Samsung is whatever. But it's sad to me because I might not be the biggest OnePlus advocate, but I still appreciate what they bring to the table. Do they push the envelope? Probably not as much as Vivo and Oppo do, but they're not here either. But remember, all that stuff trickles down. Apple tends to wait it out. Samsung tends to wait it out and then integrate that stuff. I just want more choice. Whether someone's heard of OnePlus or not, I know that they're there, and I like that option.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well,
that's my 2 cents.
and that's 100% valid. The only thing I will tell you is, in the digital video media space, you really don't have choice. You have Blu-ray. You had HD DVD, and then it went away, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, you did. You had choice. We had Betamax, and we've always had choice.
Oh yeah.
And then if you look at really only cars, obviously there's variation, but in the consumer space, when it comes to phones, are no longer a thing. It's just like everybody's got them now. It's a ubiquitous in the United States as any other car.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a car, you probably have a cell phone. Hell, you probably have a cell phone before you have a car. If you're 12, right? So even phones have become that, and the watching the kind of like watching Android competitors fall off the rail, and then watching Apple kind of start to include like call screening, right? And all these other Android features, right? And you notice that Windows Phone's gone. Android's getting pared down. Really, all you're going to have is, can you live in a world where possibly in 10 years, the only real viable option in the United States is iOS? That's a real possibility.
And that's what worries me. That's what bothers me. And nothing against iOS. I have an iPhone. It's a great device. I just prefer Android. And to see something like, I'm not saying Android's ever going to go away completely. It's just going to be to the point where it's going to be a niche product, kind of like phones made in the U.S.
Right. You might have, at some point, you might have a Samsung and Google Pixels, right, in the Android version, and you may have, may kind of like have like a car, not like a DVD player, right, where it's just HD. And actually, Betamax was technically superior to VHS, but it just wasn't supported by movie theaters and movie studios, and kind of.
Now,
right?
Blu-ray was superior to HD DVD.
Correct, but at least you had choice, right?
Right.
But it doesn't make sense because everybody's like, why should I have to buy two different versions of Deadpool when I can just now it's actually kind of irrelevant now because of streaming. Really, people don't have physical media anymore. So at least with phones, you may be in a world where it's really Android is all Samsung, Google, and then iOS, and then in the United States, that's really where you are. Yeah. If you want to get kind of a little bit more advantageous in the Android space, you might want to venture outside the US and import, and that's always going to be a possibility. Carriers might not support it because they don't have any kind of leverage to do so. It's going to be an interesting world in 5 and 7 years. I'm curious to see how it's going to shake out, really.
Yeah, it makes me, I'm getting depressed just talking about it. So I'm going to switch gears here.
Yeah, let's get happy.
Well,
or less depressing. Well, maybe that's better.
That's a better term. No. So when you think of classic movies, or I shouldn't say movies, like animated movies. One that commonly comes up is Toy Story, right? I mean, it's not that old. I think it was 90s.
God, the fact 90s? That we're even talking about the words classic and Toy Story in the same sentence is utterly depressing.
A little bit.
This is more depressing than fun.
Well,
actually,
this is more up Devin's alley probably, but I'm going to share this. I don't know if you saw this. This was a couple weeks ago, but MSI has released a glorious Toy Story gaming PC. He's just shaking his head like, what?
It's colorful.
It's got a 5070,
Okay.
so it's up to date, but it's like, I mean, it looks like Toy Story. Like, it looks like the Alien Grab game. It's got the colors. Now, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of pictures. Oh, I guess here we go. So it's more like a color theme, I guess, than it is actual, like, the characters are in it. But you see it here in the corner here. It does say Toy Story up here. You know.
Yeah, lots of design elements. I think the GPU has a backplate on it, or multiple choices for a
Oh, so I didn't go to the
character
actual website
backplate
to
and
look it up.
stuff.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I think you can buy all the parts individually too, and design your PC around it. I thought this was super interesting.
Yeah.
We've been seeing a lot more of this kind of thing coming out of China, and again, they've been a lot of the anime type of stuff. Like, you can buy just about any anime GPU or motherboard you want right now out of there, and I don't know if this was just their attempt.
Well, listen to this. It's only 500, and you can't. It's going to be a hard time buying this outside of Taiwan. So there you go.
Right.
And it's nice. And what's funny is, like, it seems like China and culture over there, they get like our like Coca-Cola based phones. They get the cool licensed products. But I guess, would it really sell here in the US? Are people going to buy a Coca-Cola phone or a Toy Story computer? Like, would either
I
of
don't
you
know who
I think
would be interested in this. This to me just does not check any boxes. Like, I don't think I'd even be interested. Like, if I was gonna build my kids a computer, like, would I be getting this stuff? Man, that'd be a really hard sell.
I mean, if you're a huge Toy Story fan, but that's a very niche. That's a very niche. And it's
That's
only
very niche.
I mean, is it going to be made? Okay, is it going to be worth money? No, because computers depreciate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
No.
if you never use it and kept it in the box, maybe. But it's again,
What's the point
Americans
of buying it?
Americans aren't in the same boat here on that. That's why they don't
Yeah.
release these. That's why Samsung doesn't have a like. My daughter used to be very big into K-pop, right? So there was like, and then BTS had a Samsung, like it was a purple colored. I think it was some of the Galaxy series phones, and
Yes.
if I was able to get that phone, she might have actually used got off an iPhone and actually used an Android device for about 20 minutes, and then realized she hates it, and all her friends can't text her, and she would have ditched it. But she would get into that. But like I said, Americans don't really get into this kind of thing.
License stuff.
People
that,
like
yeah.
memorabilia, but they don't really like memorabilia on consumer tech. That's a bridge too far for most, especially if it's like, okay, now if it were like that build, that computer, that rig is standard black, right? Legion is 1200, and the Toy Story one's 1250 or 13. Okay, maybe somebody might say it's kind of cool. But if you're saying, hey, this one is $1,300, this one's $2,700, people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm not in.
Especially like play school like colors too. Like
the better chance you have is I saw the other day. I was actually on my camping trip, and I saw that Ford is making e-bikes. One's a Bronco, and there's a Mustang e-bike. Now that might sell because Americans can tie
Mustang
cars,
fans.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or Ford, you know what I mean? That when it comes to cars, you might be able to do that, but like a Fallout themed chassis, sure, maybe it lands. I would maybe be interested, but not for $2,700.
So what about a Ford themed Mustang computer?
Hell no. No.
So what's
but
the difference? So what's the difference between a Ford, a Mustang branding and Toy Story branding? Like, both of them are pretty classic American, everybody knows it type of brand.
Yeah, but they're putting on an e-bike, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to a computer that you can't ride down the street or drive to your friend's house. You're not going to carry your rig to your buddy's house, but at least on a Mustang or a Bronco e-bike, you can go or
Devin, if I carried my Toy Story computer to your house to play games, what would you say as me?
Oh my gosh, that would
get a laptop, a Toy Story laptop.
You would while you're laughing at me, of course.
Right. Yeah, I think the reason why they think they did branding with the Mustang e-bike because it's a bike, right? They can kind of sell that.
It's transportation,
right? Yeah. It's moving you from there to there. Your computer doesn't do that. So yeah, again, in concept, it makes no sense. I wouldn't buy a Mustang branded e-bike because I'm not in the market for an e-bike. Because also, if I know Ford, they're probably going to charge you $2,500 for the same bike you can probably get for $1,200. And I don't really care about the
e-bikes.
color because I can paint it or whatever. I don't know. It's just a little bit of a different situation.
I
They
had a
always wanna
company
upcharge it.
send me a scooter. I sent some pictures of the guys in the chat that we have.
Yeah, the 140 mile an hour scooter.
It goes 50
Sure.
miles an hour. I've had up to 41, and
No.
I almost crap my
Mm-mm.
pants. It's that scary.
It's
Like
petrifying. It's
Yeah.
basically an ambulance and an ER visit waiting to happen is what it is.
it's huge. It looks like a tank for an SUV or SUV. Jesus, for a scooter.
Right.
But like it has blinkers, a horn, and it's not branded
Fair.
by Ford or Toy Story. It's some Chinese company sent it to me, and they even told me when I opened it, make sure you have a motorcycle helmet, DOT certified, which I had already.
Right.
And then it said, which is weird already, you're riding around the scooter with a motorcycle.
Yeah, no.
And then it says there's 3 modes, 1, 2, and 3. One's the slowest, and the third is the highest. And it says if you're a novice rider, keep it in stage 1. Well,
Yeah.
it's got dual motors. So most, like my kids have little scooters that have a motor in the back. It's like 300 watts. This is like 5,600 watts. And no matter what mode you're in, when you hit you don't have to like pedal to get started. It like peels out both tires. It scares the shit out of me. So I'm hesitant to ride it.
Ludicrous
Oh, man.
speed. Go.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Yeah.
I went like on a road that went like 35 miles an hour, and I was passing cars, and I think this is not right. Something about this is not right. If I fall, if I hit a
That's
rock,
terrifying.
I'm done.
Yeah. Right.
Helmet's not going to save me. But either way,
Oh.
the other thing is Sam mentioned K-pop, and I was talking to Devin about there's a movie on Netflix called what was it? K-pop Demon Hunters,
Demon. Yeah.
and I watched it with my daughter, and let me tell you, it was something.
Yeah, it's experience.
It's number
experience.
2 most popular movie on Netflix right now.
Oh, of course, dude. K-pop's still a thing. Like I said, that would probably been the only branded phone that I think may have gotten traction because
BTS.
I will tell you this
Yeah.
much: if iPhone came out with a branded phone, like if they had like a BTS,
Can you imagine?
or
They had the code red, but that was it, right?
Well,
Just
I'm
the code
talking
red.
about like more of a branded like a Coca. Like I could see people buying an iPhone that was Coca-Cola red with the swirl, and then when you open it up, it had a back thing, all the themes.
Nah.
the
At
icons
this
were
point,
themed.
I feel
They
like it'd
might,
have to
but-
be a Diet Coke.
Right,
Zero,
iPhone.
not diet. We don't
more
use
like
diet
a high,
anymore.
more like a
sorry,
high
sorry, yeah,
noon, a Stanley tumbler kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
fair. It's a
Yeah.
Stanley phone. I'm in. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
We laugh about that, but these trends happen so quickly. Like what's
Oh.
popular, what's not. Like it's kind of
can't-
like all this new lingo we talked about. These kids have, and I live in Ohio, and Ohio is a bad word. Like, hey, you're Skibbity, Ohio. I mean, what the f
Yeah.
does that mean? I live
Right.
here. It's fine.
Riz. Yeah.
So me and Devin watched this show. Brian Trahan, I don't know if you know, he's on YouTube, but he's doing 50 states in 50 days, and he's raising money for St. Jude. And his goal was 1 million. He's over, I think he's close to 3 million now,
Yeah.
That's cool.
and he's only at 25 states. And it's funny. I've been following it. It's a really heartwarming series. It's like a quirky dude who makes his own candy, but he's going with his wife, and he's visiting these Airbnbs, and it's just fun. But all these people from Ohio are donating, and he keeps saying, "I'm so excited to see Ohio." And I don't buy it. I think he's making fun of us. Be honest with you.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of the
Yes.
meme behind it. You know, I think that everybody else is excited to see what he has to say about it and go there. But I mean, legitimately, I think he's like 26 or 27. He's
Yeah.
probably, he never been to Ohio. He probably is a little bit excited to see what all the, memeing is about.
I don't know. He's a great YouTuber. He is an awesome content
very
creator.
good.
He's very creative, very unique, and I think I think the whole message behind everything, it's kind of cringeworthy, but you kind of like it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like likable
Yeah.
cringe.
Oh yeah,
Not like my
100%.
cringe.
That's what he.
Uh,
that's
I'm
what he's
looking at
built
I'm
this-
looking at the
this
video
channel
of
on.
him, and he's got day
Yeah.
one, and he's got
But,
an
like, he has a
orange
beard.
cowboy hat, and he's got
Yeah.
like this curly hair.
Someone
Mhm.
donated $150,000. It was Dollar Shave Club. Donated $150,000 to St. Jude to have him shave his beard off, but they told him not to shave it off, to keep it. Like that's a great thing. Like these companies are
Yeah.
just like giving money, and they're advertising obviously because he reads the
Oh, yeah.
comments. But
100%.
either way,
Okay.
He's
Sticking with this-
he's gotten
Go ahead.
so many series like this though. If you want to talk
Yes.
about YouTube, he's going to be a case study for for very, very many years to come, just on social media and psychology of what he's doing, because he's doing things so much differently than everybody else on YouTube right now. It's really,
Oh, who's
really
gonna be
interesting.
copied? Because there's another guy
Yeah.
I just saw who did a road trip on Route 66 for like 4 or 5 days. It was really good too, but it just didn't capture the quirkiness. The only thing I wish it was a
Mhm.
little bit longer. Like you see a little bit more of the area. It's kind of like, but it's really good either way. Keeping
Yeah.
with the cell phone theme, I'm more of a mobile guy. We talked about the death of BlackBerry and Windows Phone, and hopefully not Android. But these phones are dying. But one unique company is trying to bring back something that I'm sure you guys have heard of. We've talked about it. The Unihertz Titan 2 has created a 5G Android phone. Here it says with a second screen, which I do not understand the second screen. But anyways, it's a BlackBerry-like device. What's the BlackBerry device they're emulating here? I don't
The
remember which one.
Passport.
The Passport, yeah. So they had some early prototypes out in some people's hands. It is a chunker, like it is thick. And it's got a secondary screen on the back, which for a phone like this, I don't think is needed because people aren't taking selfies with these kind of phones. But I think they're trying. Unihertz is really good at throwing a bunch of stuff into a phone and then selling it. And they're very niche. The biggest thing I got two things. It's on Kickstarter. It's not available till October. But it's like $275, which is a really good price. And they're actually guaranteeing 2 years of Android updates, which is huge for Unihertz because they don't do anything with updates on any of their older phones. So I think they said up to Android 17, which I guess is maybe only one more year because 16 is already out, but it came with 15. So what do you guys, do you guys know about this phone? Have you heard about this phone?
Yeah.
What do you think? Is this something that's worth it?
Yeah, for $300. Yeah.
That's the one redeeming quality, I think, is that it's so inexpensive. Yeah. Do I think that anything like this is ever going to take off? No.
No.
Do I think that Samsung and Apple are going to start making phones like this to compete? No. Is it something that's going to be fun to use? Probably not. Can you imagine? I mean, just the screen on it
Well,
is...
the size is it going to fit in your pocket?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, well, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but like just the screen ratio, aspect ratio, right? Is like, that's one of the reasons why I didn't like folding phones so much, is that the big square aspect ratio on the inside just didn't work for anything that phones were designed for these days. Like, every single app out there is designed for a candy bar phone at this point.
Right.
I just don't think that this phone is going to be fun to use. It's
so people
unless
are complaining.
You're probably getting this to write emails anyways, I suppose, so it doesn't matter. But like,
but what's
I don't
interesting
know.
is people are talking about how the keyboard is fantastic. It's clicky, but it's still faster to type on a screen than it is on this keyboard.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, it's $269 if you pre-order it through Kickstarter. But if you wait till it's actually out, it's gonna be about $400. Snapdragon 7300, meh. It's good. It's going to be plenty enough for what you're going to use it for. 12 gigs of RAM. I heard of rumors it's going to be 16 gigs of RAM. Either way, you're going to be fine. But they kind of omitted a couple things. I guess the Titan 1 had, which I didn't have myself. I want to say they took out wireless charging and a headphone jack. But I'm thinking, people always keep complaining about this headphone jack thing, but I haven't used a headphone jack. I'm like, for streaming, obviously. But when's the last time? I don't know. I don't know if a lot of general public use wired headphones on their mobile device.
They probably don't.
Devin, you were shaking your head.
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I think, well, and I look at it two ways, right? Yeah, I haven't used a headphone jack and I don't remember the last time that I wanted to, but is that because of this whole switch that has been made and it's just conditioned me to not buy wired headphones? And like,
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, right. Like, there's probably a lot of people that would still be using wired headphones, still be using that jack. And I think that there's obviously other uses for it. Like, probably a lot of people that had to change out not necessarily change out the radios in their cars, but like get used to a completely different workflow there, right? Instead of connecting, just plugging it in anymore, they now have to Bluetooth it, or they have to hook up whatever else that they have to make it work.
Sam, what do you think?
I think it's cool. I mean, I as a person who likes BlackBerry, and I still like keyboard phones. Again, and this is another one of those devices where does it have a lot of functional use? Probably not. But this is one of those conversation starters because anybody who sees you using this, especially if you're in a corporate setting, like work setting, everybody's going to go, holy cow, is that a BlackBerry? I thought they were, and it's going to immediately start that conversation. I mean, does anybody really want, like normal people, do they really want a keyboard style phone anymore? No. Do they want this, which is kind of like bulky and chunky and has, you can't play your games on it? No. I will tell you though, is one of the features that I think that's kind of really I like about having like the BlackBerry Key 2 or whatever was having all the apps mapped to a keystroke. So if you could double press and you could launch Snapchat, I kind of like that. Having an eye, and then you had Instagram, you kind of push I, and Instagram launches, right? So you didn't have to worry about it. You could keep the screen pretty much.
I believe this has that function. I believe
it does.
Yeah.
And then also it's obviously capacitive, so you can scroll with it. So again, it's for people like me who kind of just like having a keyboard and kind of have a nostalgia play. And really, I'm not really doing a lot of the things that probably most people are doing with their phones. Like I'm not taking a lot of really great photographs. And I would probably have a secondary phone. This is something I would maybe take to work with me. And if I knew I was going to a place where I needed a camera phone or whatever, I would bring it like, maybe a Samsung or something like that.
But it's got a picture camera on it.
The camera seems to be okay.
Yeah.
You say that and I'm like, actually, this probably wouldn't make a terrible like work phone. This is just my work phone. And then I still have my personal phone, like whatever I have.
I'm not trying to sell you guys on this. I just think it's funny that for that price, it does. The only downside to the price is that it's really thick. So that's the only reason why I don't understand why they couldn't put a headphone jack in, because it's a pretty hefty device. But
it seems to be pretty, as far as the thickness of the actual like frame, it seems to be kind of a chunky one. But yeah, but even if it's 300, like this is actually kind of one of those things where if you had a work device, here's the thing: if I bought this, I probably wouldn't carry a case with it because the frames. Like
it comes with the case in the box.
Yeah, you got
they surpassed their
Kickstarter goal.
They fully funded in 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and also I did notice, and this is something for me and this is kind of interesting, that they're actually trying to get AT&T certification, which is kind of a fascinating. That's a fascinating thing for most, because they realize that there's a lot of people who like me who use AT&T. They would not. Right. I mean, if this phone wasn't certified, I couldn't use it. It's not like I wouldn't want to, but the fact that they're actually going out of the way to not only do it but put it on their website very boldly, we are going to have AT&T cert. That's pretty interesting for a person like me who's on AT&T. So
I pre-ordered it so I missed the Superbird. It was like $229 when it first started. It sold out. It like locked everyone out.
I think they had like 500 slots, so it wasn't going to take long to lock that out.
So I joined the group on Facebook, like people who were interested, and everyone's complaining and bitching about, do you guys realize you paid $270 for a phone and you want stuff from a phone that's $1,000? Like, why doesn't it have wireless charging? I believe it has an IR blaster on it. Yeah,
I think it does too.
So it's like, it's a perfect device that's imperfect. Like, I would take it with me to work. It's not as just, I don't know. I think it's a unique device. And if you're familiar with Unihertz phones, it's going to have a lower level expectation of software updates. It's going to be chunky because they don't have the tooling like Samsung and Apple do, where they have a year's and unlimited amounts of money to tool a device to what they're probably building this with on the shelf and very minimal tooling. I would imagine there's not a whole lot of R&D built into this. And you're right, it's not going to start a revolution, but I think it's what comes to mind is Adam on YouTube. He's a huge BlackBerry fan, always has been, and he got his hands on it. And I haven't watched his video yet, but most people have said it's okay. But I think it depends on who you are. If you're a power user and you need that, I need to go gaming at 120 frames per second on Genshin Impact, then this probably isn't the phone for you.
Clearly.
I don't think any of us here do play Genshin Impact. I don't play Genshin Impact. I tried it just to benchmark a phone, and it was, I didn't understand it. So,
I mean, but this is where we get into, right? We get into this kind of a dichotomy. We're like, we want to have more competition, more innovation, more kind of crazy stuff. So here's nothing with this Glyph thing, and then you've got the phone, you got Glyph interface, and then you have all this, and you got Unihertz with a clicky keyboard deal, right? And then you've got everybody going, well, it sucks, it blows, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it doesn't have that. I was like, okay, well, you're just describing an iPhone and a Samsung phone and maybe a Pixel. So you can't have both, right? In this world, you can't have both. Things are true, but cannot be equally pushed. You can't have companies want to get into the space and give you something. Again, if film comes out at $1,000, I'm like, right? But Unihertz clearly knows that they're having to try to get a traction hold in this, and they clearly know that they're making shortcuts. Like, it doesn't oleophobic coating. I know for a lot of people, if you're an old Duo 1 user, you kind of know how this works. It's kind of a schmeary mess, right? And you get that. But again, it's one of those things where you have to be, you can't have both. If you constantly dump on these companies, they're not going to do this. And you're going to be in a world where then you're going to try and go, man, I really wish they had like folding phones and keyboard phones and the LG Wing and like HTC with metal unibody. I'm like, well, you guys shit on all that, and they pulled out because nobody bought the damn thing. And then when it was commercially available, guys on YouTube were like I like Michael Fisher, don't get me wrong, but he's already kind of saying, well, it doesn't have this. Like, it's $300 fucking dollars, dude. If you and here's the thing, I find it ironic that he's kind of not so warm on it, and yet he makes clicks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Sam,
it's kind of funny. I think if I had the Nothing Phone 3 and the Unihertz Titan 2, I think the Unihertz Titan 2 would be a better sell just because of its price and what it offers.
I mean, sub $300.
I'm not shitting on Nothing Phone 3. I want to try the Nothing Phone 3. I like the OS. I like the design. Even though it's a quirky design, I think it's kind of interesting. It's nothing out there like it, and I want to get conversation started about anything other than Apple. But I just think for $799. You have the OnePlus 3, you have the Samsung Plus. There's other options at the same price point that offer more, but it's all about what you think and what you like. And Devin talked about this. It's like the Nintendo effect. Like, people are going to buy an Apple no matter what, because Apple is Apple. People are going to buy a Nintendo Switch not because it's the best hardware ever built. It's going to run games at 240 hertz. It's because of what games they do offer and whatever. I think Nothing has a following. They're going to sell these phones, and I hope they stick around just for that reason.
Yeah.
But Sam, you did mention pulling out. And this I can't even do it with a straight face. This next article is mainly for Darren, because he says he's watching, but I don't know if he really is.
He's
so
watching.
Another Kickstarter. I can't even do this. This is terrible. So there's a company that's making something called the Groove Thing. Have you heard about this? It's a Bluetooth speaker, but it has a combo with something else. It's not like you go to McDonald's, you get a combo with fries and a sandwich.
Sure.
This is a Bluetooth speaker with a vibrator combo. So you're thinking that has a big ad for Safari right there, because Safari is actually private.
Is this guy actually using the vibrator? It's weird. I don't think that's. I don't think you're the target.
So
I don't think you're the target audience, dude. But okay,
Sam,
cool.
here's what's funny. So I frequently go on Kickstarter just to see what's coming out, like just to see what's on there, and I saw this thing on Kickstarter. I'm like, this has got to be a joke, and then I started seeing articles on it.
Oh,
so
boy.
it says now you can feel your music in an entirely different way. And I'm not telling you, I'm not going to show the video from their website, because it's like probably not terrible, but it's just people groaning, and like guys and girls groaning. But look at this device, and you tell me if this is something you'd be interested in. And I want to know honest opinion, because
no.
Devin's like laughing.
No.
Everything about it, the shape, the color.
Yeah, why neon green? Why neon
the
green?
Exact color that I was hoping for.
He's like, why do I have to come on the show today?
No. Oh my god.
So it says. Anyways,
I don't have enough alcohol for this conversation right now, but okay.
But listen to this. It blends high fidelity audio of your favorite songs with internal vibrations.
Well, I guess because external vibrations weren't available. I don't think that's how a vibrator works, but okay.
God,
It's pretty much external.
So the person who wrote this article, it says, as a sex toy reviewer. What?
Oh,
I guess
do
there's
you-
a
what,
review for
what,
everything.
what do you
Good
think?
job.
Somebody from accounting is going to review this? I mean,
It's true. You need someone
it's
who's
clearly going to
more
be somebody who's
experienced, I
like,
guess.
you mean to tell me they have a speaker that has an adapter that actually is basically like a little pocket rocket or a rabbit?
Well,
I'm in. I need
so
to
go
check
ahead and
this
order
thing
it.
out.
It's $250.
No.
It's unisex. It goes either way. There's no, So is this a good idea
Yeah.
or is this a bad
Sure.
idea?
No, sure, whatever. This whole world.
What?
Oh, I'm okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's clearly going to. I mean, it's again, it's a niche product. Maybe somebody. Well, here's the thing. Don't they have those? I saw. Didn't somebody have? And I don't know if this is real. I've seen like videos and stuff. It's always like almost a comedic routine. But it's like a guy who has a app on his phone, and his girlfriend's either got
Yes,
underwear or a thing, and
and
they're
they're
just like they're
vibrating.
singing at dinner, and like and he's trying to she's trying to have a steak, or like maybe a salmon. And he turns this thing on. She's like, it's like at the table. It's kind of like a real twisted When Harry Met Sally kind of situation going on. I think that already is a thing.
Sorry,
So
look at the animation.
it's just like everything radiates out of your crotch. The
But what's
world
funny is she's
can be
explaining-
fixed out of
she's
your
explaining how
groin.
she's explaining how she uses, or he. I don't know if the he or she. I didn't see.
I don't
But it
think we
says-
need an explanation. I don't
No.
think anybody reading this
It
article
says the
knows exactly
attachment
how this.
connects to a speaker too, which means fussing with a cable. Oh god damn! You gotta.
Oh, you mean it's wireless? Oh, okay.
It's not
Okay.
wireless. You gotta fuss with a cable.
And I'll look at it. Per the instructions, I plugged the groove. thing
yeah,
into
yeah,
the-
we're gonna,
yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
move back.
We're just we're very much there's a letter and a spot. Let's just put it that way. She's
Whew.
extremely knowledgeable about said product.
Oh,
line
and
of
she
things.
used it properly.
I would
and-
hope
and
so.
the
With all the
base
safety
emanates from your
guidelines.
Central region.
Safety guidelines.
I just Kickstarter is sometimes full of crap and
It's a
sometimes
wild-
full of innovation.
It's kind of Wild West, right? It's kind of cool. Every once in a while, you never know. And some things come out of there that are like, wow, that's actually a pretty unique thing. Like people, I mean, again, it's to me, you're right, Jason. It is kind of a little bit of a shit show kind of thing. However, you never know when the next really great idea comes out of.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, anything that's really kind of incubating and kind of creating and putting this thing out there, if somebody's got, I mean, I've seen ideas for like, I have these things at home instead of like using twisty ties, they're called grip sticks, right? I saw it at a home and garden show. It basically you just fold the bag and then just like slide it across, and they're super awesome. And I showed it to somebody, they're like, dude, I gotta get those, man, because like if you have chip bags or something like that, it's just easy. And it's one of those things where it probably came at somebody had an idea, and there was probably a mom and dad or a local dude going, man, there's got to be a better way to reuse chip bags. You always lose the ties and they suck, right? And it's like, dude, I think it's a really great idea. So, yeah, you might get 1,000 things that are kind of like the groove thing, right? Although points to the name, because that's pretty fantastic naming. But just saying, because you're going to do that and it's thing. Yeah.
I will say Kickstarter is not just, I mean, big name companies go on there to test ideas too. But Devin, you haven't responded. What do you think of the groove thing? I mean, is it something that you could see sells very well? Not personally. I'm not trying to get personal. I'm just asking, like, people will buy this, do you think?
I don't know. Does it? I guess my question is: does it only work with music, or does it help accentuate, like if you're watching any
Bluetooth
movies
speaker.
or?
So you can anything with audio.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can watch K-pop Demon Hunters, and every time they're fighting demons.
Well, I mean, I kind of still had Toy Story on my
Same.
mind, so I was
He's
just
like,
Oh,
come on.
God, it's even worse. Toy Story.
Toy Story. No.
We're
Like,
gonna
hey,
give a
let's
whole
watch
new. We're
My
gonna give a
Little
whole
Pony. I
new
mean,
a
come
new
on.
reference to Buzz Lightyear. What's happening? Is that your safe word? I'm just putting it out there.
I don't think
Okay.
the groove thing comes with a voice activated safe word.
Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear. So your partner
Creators
turn
of
it off
Groove
right
thing, if you're listening, have a safe word.
there. You should, because I mean, honestly, if it's not cabled, you got to have something that
Holy crap! You
I don't know. I'm sure
I
it
could see
has a
someone going
market.
through other '90s, or whatever movies they have their generation. Like, hey, Dazed and Confused, let's watch that. Oh my
I don't know. I'm not buying one, but I mean, what the
I'm
hell?
probably
I
not
don't-
gonna buy one either. Yeah.
Right. But I don't. Can we get some different colors? That's all. I'm just neon green. I'm just like it's too
I
it's
don't
too
understand the idea
stereotypical.
of neon green. I don't.
It's
get
just
it.
too stereotypical. It leans too far into the whole shtick of it, and I think maybe that's on purpose. I don't know.
But if you're using it in private, no one's going to see the color anyway.
if it
That's
does
why-
it glow in the dark, because that would be cool.
You know what? I don't know, and I'm not going to look back at that article again.
I'm not. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just saying if
if
it
you're
luminesces,
listening,
here's
safe
some
word
feedback.
and glow in the dark, please.
Right, feedback. Just saying.
Honey, why is the blanket glowing? Nothing.
Phone 3, it's buzzing. I have a glyph matrix. It's good.
Oh Jesus,
Why are you
Okay.
watching Toy Story again? 5th night in a row. Sorry.
man, why are you watching that? Why are you watching Buzz Lightyear, the movie that tanked? That was a terrible movie. Why do you keep watching that movie?
Oh boy. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna
all
wrap
right.
this up. One more phone because I have to.
Right.
We know Samsung has an event coming up. Is it tomorrow? No, the 9th. It's the 9th, I think.
Yeah, soon. But pretty soon. Yeah.
So they shared this. Their own trifold. Now we're talking about innovation. We know Huawei did it. We can't get it here. We can. It's just not worth it. It's not going to work. Is trifold phones? I'm assuming it's not ready for production yet. And if it is, it's going to be like the first fold where it's going to be outrageously priced and they're going to throw a bunch of free stuff. But if they announce this on the 9th, whether it's available or just something they're working on, is this something that consumers are going to buy? We now, Samsung and Apple are the most popular brands here in North America. I should say U.S. more specifically. What do you guys think? Trifold phone. Do you think when you saw the Huawei, were you like, oh, that's it. That's what I want?
I mean, I feel like that's a much better end game goal for foldable phones. That, again, I go back to the aspect ratio. That's why I've hated every foldable phone that I've had so far, is when I unfold it and it's a square, it just doesn't make sense. No app fits on it properly. But at least a little bit more of a landscape resolution aspect ratio makes a lot more sense to me. It's going to match up to what we've got, on our computers and our TVs and our current tablets. So I think this probably makes more sense as
So you're saying
as an end goal.
because it can be a phone and a
Yeah.
full-fledged tablet, not this weird
Yeah.
square aspect ratio.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
My only I'll let you go. My only thing is like, what's the compromises? We all know when they get thin and fold, something always is a compromise. Cameras, processor, battery. If they can make it a little more elite, because it's going to cost to both your
yeah.
kidneys. It should offer something. It needs to have more than just the folding aspect. It needs to have a Snapdragon Elite, the best processor at least. That way, if you are opening it up and doing something you like, if you want a game at full frame, you can. You're not relying on an older generation processor that would maybe be able to do that. Full all-day battery is just probably not going to be feasible at first, especially if you have it unfolded all the time.
Yeah.
But Sam, what do you think of tri-folding as a Duo user?
I mean, if you're gonna do this, you might as well do this. Like I saw the Huawei trifold and I was like, this is where you need to be. Like Devin says, this is where you need to be. And I agree with Michael here. If you only had 2 sections and you had it, again, this pushes the point where it's like, if you really want a true, I mean, because the OnePlus Pad that I have, it's more this size, right? If you're turning it or whatever. Whereas when I've had my Duo, and again, the Duo was a little different because it was 2 independent screens,
Right.
with the same, I mean, it was set up to be a multi-task. Most people that when I used my foldable, like when I had a fold, I didn't use it as a dual multitasking device. It was just a larger content platform, right? That's what it was. Duo forces you, because of its form factor, to actually use 2 different independent multitasking screens. I mean, if you're going to be here, I agree with Devin. I think this is where, if you're going to be either foldable lives here or it lives nowhere. This is really about it. The only thing I would argue is I don't know if you've seen the Huawei Pura X. That is a
Yes.
foldable I could completely get into, because
It's a little wider, right?
and also the way it folds this way. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't. It's different. It's almost like,
it's widescreen, right?
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like it goes this way instead of like because everybody's like, well, I have the Razr, but it just turns into a phone. The Pure X doesn't. It turns into a wider
Yeah.
form factor. And And I just think it's
kind of like an iPad Mini or a
right. It's just
yeah.
kind of a neat way to do it. It's again, that's why I like Huawei. They always come up with these really kind of neat ways of doing
but
things.
Sam, like what Devin said, was most of our media is 16:9. So when you buy a current foldable, you have huge black bars no matter which way you orient it.
It's obviously not optimal. This looks more
Yes.
appropriate for a 16. If Samsung makes this, you know what? I'm thinking I mean, look, I'm that guy, right? I bought Duo 1, I bought Duo 2 and continue to use it. Still use it. So, you know, I mean, I think what the hell? I mean, if like I said, I think Devin's right. I think either it lives here or foldables die altogether and you're just in a slab phone world and then you're in a tablet world if you're at home or whatever, and you just live in that dual device dichotomy. You have your phone when you need it and you have your tablet when you need to do other things like computing tasks or watch a video or have a kid that's watching something or doing, you know, educational stuff. You don't give them your, you know, $1,300 or $3,000 Huawei XT or your trifold, right? Your Z Fold or G Fold or whatever it's going to be called. You would let them have that, right? You just have a tablet that's more durable, more robust, and then you know definitely when you're handed a tablet, you know what you're doing. Content consumption, computing, multitasking, compute adjacent tasks, right?
Correct.
Not your phone. So, I mean, I'm curious to see. It may not be available at launch this year, but if Samsung's working on it, I would. It's because I would get the Huawei if it was available and I could run it. I can somehow.
Well, you can get it. It's just what are you going to do on it?
Well, yeah, exactly. But whereas opposed to and if AT&T offers this as like a marketable product, yeah, I would take a swing on it. I mean, hell, no, this is not personal to anybody who's listening and or who's on the show. So just take this for what it is. But you have no fucking clue until you actually use this thing, what you're really going to do with this thing. I swear to God, I've had so many people who sit there and go, well, why the hell would you use a device like that? You never held that and you've never used it. Like everybody yelled at me about the Duo. I'm like, have you owned one? Well, no, because I wouldn't buy it. Then you have no clue what the fuck you're talking out of your ass and you need to calm down. Get the device, use it for a couple of months and go, yeah, I was trying to do X, Y, and Z. It didn't fit for my use case and I ditched it because it wasn't going to work. But I don't know how many people sit here and talk about, I would never use a trial fail device. It has no real practical purpose. And then you've never used it. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just the side of it's completely stupid and you would never use it. But I would say that I would give it a try and see if I could work it in. And if it doesn't work, like Devin says, then. But I think he's right. I think this is the form factor that you really need to do. Yeah, is it going to be battery? Although we have battery tech, right? It's improving, right? Is the cameras going to be not as good as in any other device? Sure, but man, can you imagine pulling this out and using it and being in an environment where you need to use something like this, and you don't have to carry two devices anymore? You don't have to carry a tablet, and you can put this on a little stand and grab a little foldable keyboard or a rollable keyboard. And you're out walking around. And if you're in a business setting, or if you're just you're tired of sending bullshit on your phone, you're working this donkey form factor, and you can just pull over to the side of the road real quick, have a little stand in your car, and just pop this thing off real quick, and you have a tablet-like experience. And if we want true mobile computing, this is where it kind of needs to be, unless you want to carry multiple devices, which nobody seems to want to do as a general rule.
So I have OnePlus Tab 3, and it's a great tablet, but it doesn't have a desktop mode like iOS does or iPad OS. This is Michael Peppercorn says, hey, optimization, blah, blah, blah. And I agree and I disagree because Samsung has been making tablets, some of the best Android tablets for a long time.
Yeah,
and they do have DeX. So what would be nice is that you fold it out to that third row, and it doesn't have to jump into DeX automatically, but have that option because there's a lot of things you can do on a tablet nowadays. With the processors that Android and Apple both have nowadays, you can do video content creation with LumaFusion and KineMaster and whatever else, Power Director, all that stuff. And I think, like you said, Sam, being able to put that in your pocket, it's going to be a little thick. But knowing that you can make a phone call and not have to open it all the time and be able to talk to somebody. The only problem is opening up, like in this picture here, where it's just two panes. I don't know what the use of that would be. Like I could see like the single and the 3, but what would be the? I
Well, the
don't know.
2 pans maybe more be like your current foldable situation, and the 3 pans would
Okay.
be when you. It looks like, I mean, and even if you look at the dual pans, if you can, I guess you can't because of the way
Yeah,
it
you
is.
can't pause it.
If you could pause it, see when it's right at that posture,
Yeah,
it's a little wider and a little taller than a standard current foldable.
true.
Will it avoid the 16:9 black bar? No. Will it be a little better as far as real estate? Possibly. I don't know. I mean, it's the proof's going to be in one. Can they get a battery in it? Can they get it to deploy? Will it be durable-ish enough? And get it in hand and see if you can make it work inside of your current workflow. I think most people, they're willing to be, if they buy it with a little bit of an open mind, you might be able to, and you might not, and that's okay. If you can't, then don't buy it. But again, this is the thing. If you want true innovation, you have to embrace this. You have to. Or if not, then you're talking out both sides of your mouth, and you need to just
Well, and
be
I know
honest
people
about
that
it.
say this, like, "Oh, well, I have an Apple, I don't need it." That's not what we're asking you. I understand if you're an Apple fan, but you got to try other things. Like my biggest issue with Apple is that they give you what they want to give you. Your choices are: do I want a different number of cameras or a bigger, smaller screen? That's all you get. And whatever software updates they get, you're going to get. And I had another article we don't have time to get to, but how through the beta of iOS has already changed because people are complaining. They very rarely do that. I think Samsung is feeling the heat. Apple's going to release a foldable. It's just a matter of time and when. They're going to wait till they feel like the market's in the right spot.
I
So-
still say flippable first. I think the foldable is going to be. I think they're going to go with iFlip first, like a
For them,
razor
yes,
component,
yeah.
because I think most of their target market would gravitate to that and be able to absorb that form factor change a little easier than a foldable. But I think at some point, but yeah, it's and like Michael Pepper says, obviously because this is a trifold, thickness is a real concern here. It's not
Yeah.
just so you're gonna stack it. But if they can do like maybe little independent three 2500 silicon
carbon batteries.
yeah, across and find it somewhere in the chassis, so you have like a 7,000 combined across it. Remember, if you only have it open twice or the first, now you've got a 7,000. Remember, think about it, because some people may not ever really use the right. They may just use it as a standard car. Then you got a 7,000 milliamps, that kind of battery tech. You might have a 2-day battery life or 3-day battery life out of a phone.
Let's hope Samsung learned a lesson. We don't want to stuff too big a battery into a phone.
Well, but what's good about having sections is they
fire.
can sectionize the battery. It doesn't have to
Correct.
be one contiguous battery. They can even go smaller. Go 2,000, you're at 6 aggregate, right? But remember, because it's in the same device as a solid phone, when you don't deploy it, it's at 6,000 with that battery tech. You may get a 2-day real runtime, and you might be okay. And then also the trick's going to be is, will Samsung allow a little faster charging than they do? I know they're kind of skittish about
tough.
that.
Yeah.
Well, because I get it. They should be, because of Note 7, right? They should be worried about that. And also, any other note you've ever had that's like put in the drawer and 2 years later, it looks like a balloon animal, right?
Well, Google with Pixels do that too. I've had a couple family members.
I think this is interesting. I say, will I buy one? Depends. I mean, if it's like $3,000, it's going to be hard to swallow.
Yeah,
but I
buy
mean,
two separate devices for half the price. Yeah,
right. It's going to be tough, but I think it's slick. I think Devin's right. I agree with him 100%. I think that's the true way to get to 16:9 is having a drive. I don't think you do it any other way.
The Huawei was amazing. I wanted it so bad because of the aspect ratio. And now that I know if Samsung does this, they're going to have full Google access, all the apps. And Samsung has their DeX, which is even better. You throw a keyboard on that thing and you have a full-fledged
I would
laptop.
like it. Like if you open it up, it just automatically defaults to DeX, and you have to choose to do. And I mean, DeX.
That's what we said. But some people don't like DeX. They want a tablet experience because that's what they're used to.
Okay.
Most iPad people aren't going to go back to DeX.
I would say basically have people say, "Hey, you're going into trifold mode. Which would you prefer?" And just give the people a prompt. Give them a little modal. Say, "Hey, click on this." And a little transition, it goes boom, it goes to tablet, or boom, it goes to DeX. That would be cool. Like I said, I think it's cool. I would try it for sure.
Samsung, if you're listening, send each of us just one. We'll try it out for you. We'll play around.
We'll
with
kick
it
the tires. Yeah, this thing's awesome. Oh, can I keep it? Sweet. This thing's great. I'll give you all the reviews.
All my reviews will be
You
great.
should buy 2 of these and just find it.
Even if one of the panel screens don't work, it's
Yeah,
going to be
you
the
still got
greatest
2.
device ever.
You're basically back to a foldable. You can't lose, right? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Well, look, it's a couple minutes over, and I'm okay with that. But we're gonna end the stream here. I need you guys to like and subscribe to the Tech Disruptors. Obviously, that's
Sure.
what you're listening to. Check out Devin's channel as well as the Nomad Tech Project. They usually stream. When do you stream live usually? Have you guys changed your dates and times?
No, we're talking about maybe going on Saturday, but it's really at this point it's really just like either 2 or 3 o'clock on a Sunday. We just try to go ahead of you so that way people get 1 hour of us and then have a, you know, the finishing meal, right? The one that really the reason why they came to dinner. Yeah, they came for the appetizers at the Nomad Tech Project. We're basically the deviled eggs of podcasting.
No, you guys came for. You're the steak. We're like the.
You
like
guys
the
are more like the
scrap.
foie gras, right? You're like the foie gras finishing in the little limoncello at the end. It's all good, right? So that way we try to. So usually we try to go off like 2 o'clock on a Sunday. Usually we thought about maybe
but
going
check
off on
them
a
out.
Saturday. Yeah, well,
Check them out. They're great. Devin, I need you to plug your live stream because I don't want to give the wrong date, but it looks like it's a very positive message too. So.
Yeah, it's going to be on July 26th. We're going to be streaming most of the day, starting at like 7 a.m. Central Time. It's the 1K stream, so we are streaming for 1,000 minutes, which is just over 17 hours. We are giving away. I actually just did the math. Well over $1,000 in giveaways, and we're attempting to raise $1,000 for charity as well. So we're raising money for Operation Barbecue Relief this year. So it's a really cool charity that helps provide meals to people in a lot of like natural disasters and things like that need help. So
yeah.
And I
we'll-
hope we blow
we'll-
past that $1,000.
Yeah,
limit,
and we'll try to
That's the
plug
goal.
it too. If we get a link to it,
Yeah.
we'll put it in our show notes. We'll
Yeah.
make reference to it in our show as well. That's a really good thing. We'll totally plug
appreciate it.
for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that being said, you guys, we're out.
All right. See ya.